You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rotten Reviews Podcast. Welcome to episode 145, where we have a non-horror movie set up, as you already can tell by the title, but it's going to be a fun one. Like I said a while ago, I want to expand the podcast more. I want to get out just doing horror movies and thrillers and sci-fis and stuff like that. Add in these dramas, crime, action movies, comedies, anything that pretty much catches my interest. I just want to have a wide range of subjects that we can talk about and discuss, because that way everything stays fresh. I don't want to make a podcast for an action series or comedy movies. I want to have it all under one home, so it's all easy. And that way, if there's some episodes you guys don't want to listen to, you can always skip. The majority of them are going to be, horror movies, but of course, there's going to be other movies that are not horror movies as well. So we're going to try and get some mini episodes. I keep saying that. I know I'm horrible at that. But my plan is to maybe do like some mini YouTube shorts, which are just like trailer reactions, and then work on a concept through that, because shorts and like Instagram reels and TikTok videos seem to be trending very well and get a lot of views, so we'll see if we can cash in on that. But before we get into the movie at hand tonight, I just want to put out there a little self-promotion, like always, because some of you guys might not listen to the end of the podcast, and for those of you who do listen to the very end, where you listen to the outro band each and every single week, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys just showing back up. If you only listen to 95% of the podcast, I do appreciate it. So if you guys can, whatever you guys are listening to this on, if it's on Spotify, give it a star rating. If it's on Apple Podcasts, you can give a review. I would highly appreciate that. And anything else that you guys are listening to, if there's anything that you can rate on, I appreciate that. As always, you can find me on all social medias at Typhonstein, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and the main thing we are pushing is the YouTube channel. So if you guys can go check out that YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you get notified when we post a new video. I would highly appreciate that and recommend it, because there's a lot of content on there. Every Wednesday I'm posting a new gaming video. We have numerous various shorts, either gaming shorts or actual art shorts. There's some actual art videos on there as well, and we're uploading the back catalog of the podcast episodes on there as well. And we will have video podcast episodes at some point. I just don't know how I want to set that up yet. So with that being said, we're going to get into the movie at hand for today. We're watching it on Tubi, so if you guys want to, as always, I'm going to spoil this movie and talk about from start to finish, pretty much not miss anything in between. So if you guys don't want to be spoiled, now's your chance to pause this, download the Tubi app, go online and watch the movie, and then come back. That being said, the movie is an hour and 59 minutes long, so you might not want to come back afterwards, but I hope you do, because we need you here, and I appreciate you being here. The movie's from 1987. Like I said, it's an hour and 59 minutes. It's a crime drama action, rated R, known as Colors. It's actually directed by Dennis Hopper, which is really crazy to think about. For those of you who don't know, Dennis Hopper is also from Blue Velvet. He's from River's Edge, and best known as Lefty from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, at least in my opinion. And then you also have the Land of the Dead remake. I forget the guy's name. He was in that, but he was the main guy with the skyscraper in that one. And it's also the writer for this is Michael Schiffer, best known for writing the 1995 movie Crimson Tide, and then he also, of course, Colors. But he's also a writer for Call of Duty from 2003, Call of Duty Finest Hour, and Call of Duty 2, which I thought was kind of interesting. He's a scriptwriter and main writer excited for one of those. Very unique. Definitely wasn't expecting that. Quick synopsis. A veteran cop and his new partner are called in to assist with crackdown against mounting gang violence in the slums of East Los Angeles. It's also starring Sean Penn and Robert Duvall, which is really what caught my interest. I'm sure I watched this movie when I was younger, but I don't remember at all. There's also a bunch of other actors when looking through the cast, but I'm not going to try and spoil anything at this point in time. Trivia. The original script by Richard D'Aleo took place in Chicago and was more about drug dealing than gang members. Dennis Hopper ordered changes, so Michael Schiffer was hired and the setting was changed to Los Angeles, and the focus of the story became more about the world of gang members. And apparently this is a goof. During the chase scene of the female driver by police, she crashes head on into a car parked on the street, propped up on blocks, which brings her car to a full stop. But when they cut to a different angle, her car is shown only side-swiping the parked car, and then she continues speeding down the road. Yeah, that's a pretty bad goof. I'm going to try and keep an eye out for that one, because that one did catch my eye. I did skim over it, so I already knew. But the original release date also for this movie was April 15th, 1988. Like I said, we already know who the director and screenplay is by. It's distributed by Orion Pictures, and it had a budget of $10 million and a box office domestic of $46,616,000. So I think it did pretty well. It's got 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's 74% on Rotten Tomatoes and 90% of Google users apparently like this film. You could also rent it on Amazon, but like I said, it's free on Tubi. You just have a couple ads you gotta watch every now and then. Well worth it. We're going to get ready to watch our featured film. Like I said earlier, now's your prime time. If you want to pause this podcast at all, now's your time. If not, enjoy me talking about the movie, just discussing everything, and hopefully not sound like a dumbass too much.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
Hey, Blood.
The gangs rule the streets. The streets are at war. The war must be stopped.
We want a uniform presence out in the street. They're flying their colors, we're flying ours.
If I do something, I expect you to back me up.
My partner, McGavin. New partner.
You get them off the street.
Lady, we're trying.
Our community have kids out there who are dying over colors. I mean, actually dying over red or blue.
How old are you?
18.
How old are you?
14.
That's enough, McGavin.
You ever go out with a cop?
You don't like cops, do you?
No.
But you're just like them, Pac-Man. Nothing but a gangster. There's always gonna be gangs, man. There's always gonna be fighting.
You can stop it for yourselves, man.
Sean Penn, Robert Duvall, in a Dennis Hopper film, Colors.
Movie starts out with the classic MGM and the lion roar, and then it cuts to the Orion picture scene coming in, which I love that. Love that intro, and then we have a little rundown. Los Angeles, the police department and county sheriff's department each has a gang crime division. The police department's division is called the CRASH, Community Resources Against Street Hoodlums, and sheriff's division is called OSS, Operation Safe Streets. The combined anti-gang force numbers 250 men and women in the greater Los Angeles area. There are over 600 street gangs with almost 70,000 members. Last year there were 387 gang-related killings. I felt like I had to rush through that because sometimes I don't get to read it all. Then we see two of the agents just washing up in the police station, and one of them is Robert Duvall, known as Hodges in the movie, and he's getting harassed by one of his fellow members. And then we see Sean Penn come in, and Robert Duvall's character Hodges is meeting Sean Penn's character for the first time, who introduces himself as Rocky Six, and he's like, yeah, okay, hot shot. Then we see all the agents in a briefing room where the sergeant is going over saying, we gotta work together. The gangs can pretty much get any weapon they want within 24 hours. We need to work together. We need to have our team shown strong and forces. And then Sean Penn's character, who's actually Danny, starts joking around with one of the guys sitting at his table, and the Sarge Melendez is like, do you want to speak up there? You got something to say there, bud? And that's when he then gets assigned to Hodges, and the Hodges is like, what? Robert Duvall's character is like, I don't want the cocky little asshole. Why are you doing this to me, Sarge? And then the intro credits start to roll as we see it's a Dennis Hopper film, as we see Duvall and Penn together in their police car, just riding around East LA. We see various shots of just people on the sidewalks, some graffitis, some not so nice looking houses, and the whole time Penn's just combing his hair because he's a prima donna kind of character. And I really like how the title font comes up on the screen because it's actually spray painted on the screen, and you hear the spray can shaking and everything. I think it's a really nice effect and a nice look for it. I really love all the drive-by shots that we get of East LA, and there's like a Chinese gate that looks really nice, lit up in neons and stuff. And we see the city bus going through as the music keeps playing. It's now nighttime, and we're looking down the road, and it's pretty much dead. You see a couple cars off in the distance, and then this we can say suspicious van starts pulling off the side of the road. There's a guy rapping inside of it, as you can definitely tell they're driving around looking for a hit of something, either looking to rob somebody. And inside the van, actually the guy rapping is Damian Wayans, which I thought was really awesome. It goes by the name of T-Bone of all things, but we'll go with it. T-Bone. I probably won't remember it ever, but that's fine. And one of the guys who's up front in the passenger seat, his name is Rocket. So we got T-Bone and Rocket. He pretty much tells everyone to shut up and either he turns the music off or whoever's driving turns the music off. So you know what, you guys just gotta shut up. You gotta stay focused. So at this point in time, we realize T-Bone and Rocket are with the Crips because they're in blue. I didn't realize at that point. They're driving down an alleyway, and they pull out in front of a bunch of people in red, which are the Bloods, and literally Rocket just shoots a guy in the chest, and they drive away. And then next thing we know, we cut to the mom screaming as the cops are there trying to consult her, and it's Duvall's character showing up. I forgot his name. Hodges. And then Danny, Sean Penn's character, comes over, gives Hodges a little brief of what happened, and then a little boy points out like, this old lady saw it. So they go over to question her, and she's like, I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. You can't tell me I saw anything. And she pretty much just told them to get out of their face and just go on their way. And that really upsets Danny, because Danny's like, are you gonna just close your eyes and act like nothing happened? There's a kid laying dead over here. Are you just gonna do that every time it happens? And Hodges is like, come on, let's go. They gotta live here. And pretty much if they ride it out, they're gonna get murdered themselves for being a rat, essentially. So at this moment, we find out the crash team and the general police force don't get along together at all, because one of the general police officers just pretty much tells the crash team the fuck off, essentially. Be like, yeah, well, you guys got this under control anyways. No wonder we got called out here at 2 o'clock in the morning. The back guy, like, the crash meeting, I guess the guy in charge, pretty much like, yeah, let's try and hook and book the gang members to keep them off the street for the night, and hopefully that way someone won't die, someone else won't die for just, gang attack. And that's when we then see a bunch of the cops just pretty much pulling a Blood and Crip member off the street and just putting them in jail or into the precinct for the night. And then we see Rocket, the guy who actually shot the Blood, getting taken into one of the precincts, and he doesn't care, but he's just like, it's just another night, no big deal. And then we see him in a holding cell with a bunch of other Crips, and they're all just having a fun time, just being loud and rowdy. But the thing that really doesn't make sense to me is there's 2 cells with a bar just between the two of them. You got the Bloods on one side, and you got the Crips on the other side. So literally, you can just reach through them, like pull a guy up against the bars. But it's just them pretty much yelling back and forth at each other the whole time as the Colors song starts playing over the yelling and the screaming. Then we see Danny and Hodges driving down the road, and the Crip DeVille's kind of across the street jaywalking. This lady's like, "You guys gotta get them off the street," and Hodges just like, "We're trying. We can only do so much." And that's when Hodges also says that the Crip DeVille will pretty much just come over, blast you while you're eating, and just walk away like it's no big deal, because they don't care about what's going on. Then we see Hodges and Danny stopping to talk to some Crips, and like, "Hey, you guys got any drugs today?" And T-Bone Wayans is like, "Nah, we just say no to drugs." Don't lie. You don't say no to drugs. Then after that, they leave that spot. Hodges is expressing his, sadness because Melendez, the chief, pretty much put him back out on Crash. He's been working Crash for 5 years, and he finally was able to stay home with his wife, and now they put him back out on Crash. But then they start driving down an alleyway, and we see the Crips playing some kind of game or something. Then one guy goes to run away, so then Danny takes after him and pretty much throws him into a scrapped car. And then we have Hodges holding off like 5 guys at gunpoint, telling them to freeze and not move. He's a little bit outnumbered, but they also look like they're only like 14, so it's no big deal. And then 2 kids ride up on a bicycle like it's no big deal. Then we have Hodges, questioning some of them, and one of them's 18, and the kid beside him is actually 14. And it's like, yep, I knew you were young. Tell by your little face. And Hodges like puts his hand on the little kid's chest. He's like, what's your heart beating for? He's like, I'm scared, man. Like, well, you shouldn't hang out with losers like this. And yeah, I guess you wouldn't be in trouble now, would you, kid? We then find out Danny's going down the alleyway where he caught this character known as High Top, who's running away. And they find it's a bag of white substance of some sort, you know? And we find out that High Top is apparently a blood, and he's dealing with some Crips. Guess that's probably not going to go over well, right? Then we find out Hodges is kind of trying to be like the nice character, because he tells Danny to uncuff him, and he's like, next time I catch you dealing drugs here, we're going to ram this up your ass. So you're probably not going to like that next time, huh? So then he gets uncuffed, and he's like, you know what? My name's Hodges. Let everyone know around town, because you don't want to mess with me, essentially. Then back in the car as they're driving away, Danny's not too happy. He's like, what the hell? Why'd you let the guy go? Because, you know, I did the right thing. I caught him. He had drugs on him. Like, what the hell? You're supposed to back me with your partner. And Danny's whole thought is, you know, we want to arrest him. That way, once he does something bad, it's not going to be his first offense doing something bad. You arrest him, get him charged with the rock. And then if he does something else again and screws up again in the future, then he's going to have another offense up against him, which is understandable, I guess, you know. But you also got to try and, you know, be the lenient, nice person every now and then, I guess, as well. I saw up at this, like, little burger spot on the side of the road. And Hodges is trying to explain to him his plan about everything. And pretty much Danny's more focused on looking at the lady inside the burger shop who's you know, serving everyone, and Hodges like, are you gonna listen to me or are you just gonna look at that over there? And of course Danny goes over to talk to who we find out is Louisa, pretty much saying, hey, when do you get out of jail? Because there's bars up on the burger shop, and he's trying to get a date with her, and she's pretty much just smiling and laughing up. It's like, you don't like cops, do you? No, not really. Kind of don't care for cops, to be honest with you. And we have Hodges and Danny driving down, going down pretty much almost underneath the bridge, just, you know, stopping by, talks to some Hispanics. I believe it was Frog, maybe? I could be wrong though. He's like, yeah, you seen any gang members around here? He's like looking around. He's like, hey, you guys see any gang members? And there's one guy drinking a Budweiser who looks like he's about 12. I guess you gotta start them out young though, right? At one point, one of the Hispanic kids literally throws something out the car, and they stop, and Danny gets out to try and chase them, but they get out of there. And then next thing you know, we see the car driving down this like dirt road, and one of the other kids looks at it and sees, and gets so scared that he's running so fast that he runs out of one of his shoes and just keeps on booking it. Then they stop to talk to this group of Hispanics, which I'm a little bit confused because one of them's a ginger, a white ginger, and I'm pretty sure it's what's his face from Children of the Corn, which is confusing as hell to me at this point in time. And well, holy shit, that's a little bit awkward. It is actually Malachi from Children of the Corn, and he's playing a character known as Whitey. Oh god. Alright, and he's hanging out with Hispanics, but that's fine. Anyways, while they're questioning him, Danny walks out with a goddamn shotgun, and Hodges looks over at him and he's like, put the goddamn thing away. We're not gonna kill the goddamn kids. Just goddamn gun away. You don't need to have the shotgun of all things out. And all Hodges wants to know is who threw the rock at his car. Because, like, you know what? This is my new car, pretty much. And you just chucked a rock at it for no goddamn fucking reason. So who threw the fucking rock? So this is a weird group of characters because you have who is now, I know, is Frog. I thought it was a different guy. We have Frog, the Hispanic guy, who's also hangs out with Larry Sylvester, an African American. And then they also have Whitey in the group and a bunch of other kids in the group. I'm not sure what kind of gang this is, but, you know, Frog's pretty much going to beat his brother's ass, who's hanging up in a tree because he's scared shitless, because I think he's the one that threw the rock at the car. Then we have this little scene where there's pretty much like a press conference where the police chief of Crash and everything is pretty much saying, you know, to the community, if you guys see something happen, you need to let us know. You need to get a hold of us because we can't help you guys if you're not going to help us. And they're pretty much, the people are pretty much scared because they're like, you know, yeah, if we're going to rat out anyone, they're going to come after us and we're going to kill us because we can't rely on you guys to protect us. So why should we, you know, put our own selves in danger? We're just all trying to survive and stay alive each and every single day while living out here in, you know, East LA. Also, one of the people in the crowd that gets really angry and starts yelling at the cops, pretty much telling them to fuck off because they're trying to just survive, is goddamn Tony Todd, Candyman himself. Goddamn. That one excites me because Tony Todd is pretty much one of my favorite horror actors just because I love Candyman so much, and I love the Night of the Living Dead version they did as well. We have a quick little scene where the guy who gets murdered at the beginning, the blood, gets murdered. We are at his funeral now, his, you know, wake and everything. Of course, while they're doing their funeral, of course, there's a drive-by and the funeral home gets shot up. And next thing you know, we see the blood's rushing out and the cops are chasing down someone because they're right there the whole time. I guess they're kind of, you know, scoping out there because they figured something was going to happen. And then we see Danny and Hodges in the car behind the suspect chasing after them as they're going down this dark alleyway that has old TVs and bed frames and pretty much anything and everything in the way, and they're just crashing all through it as they're trying to catch up to the shooters. We see some like above ground, like bird eye views of the police chase, and it's really well done. It's really well shot, and I love seeing, you know, the setting and everything around because it's all so well done. I just gotta mention this because the Crips drive up on the sidewalk and are crashing through this pretty much all the stuff that the store owner had on the sidewalk. The dude also had like an adult-sized Godzilla statue hanging out on the sidewalk, which literally gets destroyed by this car. I was a little bit disappointed and a little bit sad by that. And of course, Danny gets up beside the car, bumps into it, and the car goes off the road a little bit, crashes into this structure of some sort, and literally just goes up into flames with no issues whatsoever. Just one hit, boom, up in flames it goes. And Danny's just like, oh shit. Of course, then they hit something else, and then they flip their car, and then Hodge is just like, my wife says she wants to meet you, as they're hanging upside down in their car. Good thing they're buckled in, I guess. We can definitely tell that Danny's hanging out at Hodges for the little dinner, and he brought Louisa as his date, and Louisa's holding one of Hodges' kids, like the little baby, and the wife goes in to cook the jumbo shrimp, and she falls behind holding the baby. Be like, I gotta help. We can definitely tell that's a doll because that hand was shiny as hell. That the baby that Louisa was holding, it's just like, yeah, that's clearly a toy porcelain doll of some sort, not real baby at all. Have Hodges trying to give Danny some, you know, future advice, pretty much saying, you know, my 19 years of being on the force, I can tell you right now, you can't take on every single asshole you find on the street. Some of the times you gotta let them go because it's just gonna make you a miserable asshole at the end of the day if you try taking on everyone. And worst case, if you don't take it out on, you know, the people you work with, then you're going to take it out on your wife, and then your wife is going to walk away if you ever do get married because you're a douche and a jackass who probably just wants to get laid the whole time. That's when Danny's like, you know what, I didn't join Crash to try and be nice to all these assholes. I'm just trying to get the assholes off the street and do my job because that's what I want to do. I want to get the assholes all off the street. Then we have Hodges and Danny showing up to the Crash group in the parking lot, and they're driving in this old beat up yellow car that's smoking. It's like, it looks like they got a lemon. It's like, I'll beat your ass. And then everyone else just start calling the car the Pac-Man just because of how it looks. It's, you know, it's a Pac-Man yellow. It is. Can't lie about it. And now it's at this point we have the sheriff's deputies working along with Crash because they've been watching this case that's happening on the docks. Apparently there's been shipping a lot of fire extinguishers off the docks for some reason. I'm not sure why yet. And then they get the radio signal, and then we see a bunch of cars proceeding to head down to the docks area to get ready to ambush this deal that's going down, where it's apparently fire extinguishers coming in from Taiwan on a Panama boat. And then they get ready to pretty much break into this, almost looks like a house on the edge of the dock. Hodges knocks on the door saying, please, they have a search warrant, and then one cop breaks the glass, and then the other cop breaks down the door, and literally it's just this Mexican guy sitting on his couch watching TV trying to eat some tacos. And he looks so goddamn confused, and then Danny rushes him, gun pointing right at him, and handcuffs him. He's like, yeah, we got him. It's like, okay, chill out, dude. Then this other guy comes out of another house, and the cops are trying to beat him up. And then it literally takes 5 of them to pretty much beat the crap out of him, and Danny's one of them. He's punched him in the gut. And then we see on the porch, cops are pulling out this other Hispanic guy and a fully naked chick. And we can definitely tell the age of this movie just because of how she looks. We'll just leave it at that. Then we cut back to the sheriff and the Crash crew, you know, question this guy that they took out of the house. And he pretty much gives out a bunch of names. And then they're like, well, who's taking the cocaine out of the fire extinguisher hose? Because apparently they've been hiding the cocaine inside the fire extinguishers, which sounds really interesting, I guess. That's one way of doing it. I don't know anything about drug smuggling, so I would never thought that's a thing, but anything's possible, I guess. Then we see Danny and Hodges arresting a bunch of gang members. And apparently one of the gang members just ate all the drugs because Danny's like, spit it out. But the guy doesn't want to do it at all, and he's like, fine, I don't care if you die. My partner doesn't care if you die either. Then Danny and Hodges catch one of the white fence gang members. He's a younger kid, spray painting up an area that he's not supposed to be tagging because it's, you know, rival area. And they let him go. But Danny, being the asshole that he is, he grabs the spray paint and starts spray painting the kid in the face, so now his face is completely coated in green like the Grinch. Then we cut to see this blood guy pretty much having a newspaper on his lap and literally handing off some drugs to some kids and telling them to run off because he just says the word Pac-Man, because now that's the code word for when they know Hodges and Danny are showing up, because I forgot they flipped their car and wrecked it, so now the Pac-Man car is the new car to do the drive-bys and, you know, assess the area. they start searching the guy, and he has a pager on him. He's like, what are you, a brain surgeon now? You Dr. Feelgood? Because Danny's a smart ass like that. And then they find a wad of cash inside his pocket as well. Wonder where he got that from. Then as they're searching him, his beeper goes off, and Danny's like, so who do you call when the beeper goes off? Or who calls you when the beeper goes off? You know, who are you getting the drugs from? And then the guy doesn't want to answer him all, so then Danny starts playing bad cop, punches him in the face once, and then puts him in handcuffs, being like, yeah, you're just gonna go to jail. I'm not playing games with you at all. The guy keeps complaining that his handcuffs are too tight, and Danny's like, you know what? They're not meant for comfort, so how about you shut up, man? And then he's getting handcuffed inside the building because they're at the precinct or whatever you want to call it. And then Hodges comes in and pushes Danny, and he's like, I'm too old for this shit. You need to fucking calm down, because we're just trying to do the easy job. We're not trying to arrest all the drug dealers or make ourselves look the fucking target and have all the other drug dealers coming after us. Hodges gets a little angry at Danny, pretty much saying, you pretty much have a issue with the whole world and everyone in it, and I'm a part of it, so you need to figure out what the fuck you're doing with your life, and you need to chill out a little bit and not jump headfirst into everything that you come into. And then we find out Danny's going to see Louisa, and she's not too happy with him because apparently everyone's very upset with him and pissed off with him because word is spreading around the neighborhood he's an asshole. And then we find out that the little guy that got the spray paint in the face is actually Louisa's cousin, and he kind of laughs about it a little bit and like kind of smirks about it. She's like, oh, so it's really funny, huh? And that's when Danny then says, I'm sorry because, I found the kid and he was, crossing out East LA gang members on the wall, which essentially means that they're going to do a hit on the members that they're crossing out the names, and he was trying to save the kid's life. And Louisa doesn't want to hear anything about it, and she's like, you know what, I'm just not with you. I got to be with the group, the gang, because I'm staying alive that way, essentially. Then we see Bob and Danny showing up at a hospital to talk to Frog and I believe Sylvester, or maybe Ron. I'm not sure. They both kind of look the same. Actually, yeah, I think it's Ron. And Felipe, I believe his name was. I think it's maybe Frog's little brother. Hooked up on drugs and pretty much having a hard time and just, losing his shit inside this room with his friend. And Frog just wants him, to get the help that he needs. And hopefully Hodges will take him off the drug radar and hopefully get him in a new area, essentially. But then we find out they're actually not a hospital. They're actually a police station. And one of the cops comes out and is like, hey, you're Frog, right? He's like, yeah. And we find out that he apparently has 15 outstanding tickets, and they arrest him on spot. He's like, yeah, you saved me a trip from going to find your fucking ass. And then for some reason we see Hodges and Danny at the beach for some reason. I'm not sure if they're just talking about there. And he's as they're getting back on the street, we actually see High Top in his car, and then Hodges sees him, and then for whatever reason High Top ditches his car and then runs down the street and steals a dirt bike from someone. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming Hodges is chasing after him because he's pretty much thinking that High Top's the reason why Felipe is cracked out on drugs somehow. But then Hodges is pretty much chasing after him, but it's no chance because you can't keep up with a dirt bike there, old man. But then we also see Danny's in the Pac-Man car and pretty much on the opposite road over, pretty much watching through the alleyways as he's watching Hightower go down the road. And Danny drives in a one-way road, avoiding traffic, and literally skids his car in front of High Top. The bike goes crashing, and High Top actually goes through the window of a restaurant, and then he runs into the restaurant, gets up afterwards, runs through the crowd a little bit, and then he grabs one of the waitresses and pretty much holds her in a chokehold. Or maybe just a random woman. It might be just a random woman, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Then we see Danny in the store as well, as High Top's, taking the woman up these stairs, pretty much saying, release the girl, and nothing bad's gonna happen. Just release her, or I'm gonna shoot you. And then High Top throws the girl at Danny, and then he goes running through the restaurant, through the kitchen to try and escape. And then we have a fight scene between Danny and High Top, or High Top, whichever one it is, fighting inside the kitchen and literally getting thrown over the table, over the serving platters. And then Hodges walks up and looks in. He's like, huh, yeah, I guess they're inside here. And Hodges comes in, grabs High Top by the back and throws him. And his arm actually goes on the burner of the stove, which looks a little bit painful, if I'm going to be honest with you. It takes a few seconds for him to scream in pain, but he eventually gets screaming in pain. And then he gets this guillotine chokehold by Hodges. And then they finally handcuff him. And we have this moment where Danny's in the gym at the precinct working out. And he's talking to Bob, saying, good shit, save my ass in the restaurant. And that's when then, if you give me as much slack as you give half the guys, I would owe you one. And he's like, you do owe me one. But, don't worry about it. Talk to Melendez, and I'm going to get a new partner at the beginning of the month, or maybe at the beginning of the week. I wasn't too sure. It's like, it's just like having a wife that you fight with too much, and, we just need to get our own new partners and have a fresh start, because apparently we're not working out together because, you know, I have one way of doing the job and you have a totally different way of doing the job, and we're just butting heads and not really getting the job done like we should. And hearing this news, Danny doesn't look too happy. He looks actually pretty sad that, you know, Bob doesn't want to be his partner anymore. Then we see we're in like county jail, and High Top's, you know, doing a bench press, and then some guys just start beating the shit out of him because apparently, you know, he did the no-no. Bloods don't deal with Crips, and they just start literally kicking the shit right out of him. And then we just see, you know, him laying on his back, and he's got a very bloody face. And then the cops finally come over, the guards, I should say, and we see him talking to the doctor, and his face is really messed up. High Top's trying to talk to the doctor, but the doctor's literally just swung. He's like, what happened? Did you just sell some bad drugs or something? He's like, I want to talk to my lawyer. The doc's like, you know what, your lawyer's not going to do anything for you. You're pretty much screwed. Then we see them in the car, and there's a call going out on the radios for a dark blue van, which is Rocket's van, because they say Rocket's van's the van that was seen during the drive-by where the blood got killed earlier on in the movie. So then the cops all just start heading towards the van. There's a helicopter that has it in sight as well, and then of course the first ones to show up is Hodges and Danny as well, because they're still working together at this point in time. They haven't gotten their new partners yet. Danny's using the loudspeaker, pretty much telling the driver to put his hands outside, take the keys out of the ignition, hang the keys outside the driver's window, and the whole time we have the helicopter, you know, going overhead, and the driver gets out at this point in time, then goes to the back of the van and opens up the back doors. That way the cops can see inside, so they're not going to get ambushed. The two guys in the van get arrested, of course, but then they're looking around and it seems like there's no Rocket to be found in sight. But then we see those two guys at the precinct, and they're getting questioned, wondering how long they've known Rocket for and where exactly Rocket can be found at this point in time. Danny's trying to get any information from this guy, being like, you know, what's Rocket's girlfriend's name? It's like, I don't know. Well, how about any girlfriend then? He's got multiple girlfriends. Yeah, I know he's got multiple girls that he's going to. Can you give me at least one of their names so we can figure out where the hell Rocket is and try and get him off the street? Or they're trying to warn him because we think someone's out there to try to kill him, so we will only bring him in before he does get murdered. Then the guy actually finally gives out a name, which is Cheryl Williams, and then Danny goes to go check it over to try and see if he can find out any information or address on where this person might be living. But then we actually find out he actually goes in the room where Hodges is interviewing the other person that got arrested, because it's actually his van and it's not actually Rocket's van, so he's wondering how Rocket got his van. And then we find out the guy's like, you know, I lent it to my brother, and then Rocket just took the van from a party and used it, and his brother didn't want to say anything because his brother was scared because Rocket's a badass, I guess. That's when Hodges is like, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, man, I don't want you, but the fact that your van was used in a drive-by, we're gonna have to book you if you don't help us out. That's when then Danny comes in using some information that he got from the other guy, and they pretty much fool the guy to give out the name of Sharon, and they're acting like they don't know her last name, and that's when the guy actually gives out the name, which he thinks it is. And they're like, okay, now we finally fooled you, so we got some information. Then we see the police outside the house getting ready to, you know, try to get someone's attention, but apparently they got some loud music going, and they're doing some, you know, activities, let's say, and then they decide to break in the house, and the people still don't hear. They just keep going at it, like no big deal, just keep on going at it. I can't give much information because, you know, I don't want to get banned on any of the sites this podcast is on. So yeah, you can just assume or watch the movie on Tubi to know what I'm talking about. So they get into the house, and there's like two entrances into the bedroom, or two doors into the bedroom. One's a side door and one's a back door, I guess. The sheriff says freeze, and then that's when Hodges looks over. He's like, that's not Rocket, that's not Rocket. So the guy goes to move, and the sheriff literally just starts blasting him in the back. And that's when Hodges goes over to check on him. He's like, why'd you move? And, you know, the guy's pretty much dead, and, you know, Hodges moves his body a little bit, and he just pretty much just passed right away as Danny's screaming for an ambulance to show up, but, you know, that's not gonna do any good. And we see like the cops showing up at like this music store, or some kind of like pawn shop maybe, and they see T-Bone and his boxers, Damian Wayans, with a shower cap on, with a giant pink stuffed animal rabbit on his shoulders, dancing around. And T-Bone's like scared that they're gonna shoot him. But like, no, we're not gonna shoot you, don't worry. You're pretty much just either mentally not all there, or just so perma-fried that I'm not really too sure which one it is. Then we see T-Bone, who's in a jail cell, talking to another guy, and he's pretty much just saying how this guy got shot because he was bagging Rocket's girl, and pretty much just spilling all this information, which is probably going to spread through the gangs and going to cause a lot of issue for the police force and whatnot. Also in the same cell, we see Frog playing some cards, and he's kind of just listening as he hears T-Bone talking in the background. Then we see that Sheriff Baines, who's being questioned about the incident that happened, because he's pretty much an asshole because he just doesn't like people of opposite color. So he as soon as he saw the guy reaching for his pants, he shot. He's going on about the bullshit reason that he thought his life was in danger. You know, the guy's butt ass naked. So, and you got cops on either side of him. So I'm not sure how your life would be in danger. Let me see. Hodges talking to his other superiors, saying how he's got an informant inside the jail, and it's Frog saying how, you know, the news of them being killer, like the cops just killing innocent people, is now spreading, and that they need to be on their watch out because, you know, any of them can be, you know, taken out at any point in time. Let me see this guy who's trying to avoid the cops and sneaking around. He goes into this what looks to be an abandoned house, which is actually full of Crips, and we find Rocket's been hiding in there, and that the only person missing out of their gang is T-Bone because he's stuck up in county, of course. And he's the one spreading the word about, you know, how the cops are killing innocent people. Then we see Ron and Larry Sylvester pulling up to the county, and they're actually bailing Frog out. And Frog's like, you know, I was fine in there, man. I got plenty of time. You know, I just don't got any money. And he's like, you should have never bailed me out. He's like, it's no big deal. You got bailed out. Don't worry about it. Let me see Frog back at the crib with his homies, just, you know, having a good night, celebrating, nice out, probably, maybe just celebrating in general. And then two of the homies go outside to smoke up a joint, and that's when we then see the Crips showing up, slowly doing a drive-by. And yeah, they start blasting the shit out of the house. And then we see Hodge and Danny in the Pac-Man car, and the radio goes off saying shots fired. And then we see the helicopter coming in the scene. Is watching the Pac-Man and two other police cars going to the area where the shots were fired. We see Danny up in the house and asks him to turn the music off, and he's like asking, is anybody hit, anybody hurt? And everyone answers no, so that's good at least. We also see Whitey, who's up against the wall, just pretty much stoned out of his mind. He's like, hey, do you know where you are right now at this point in time? And he doesn't say a damn word, he just stand there staring off into the days. And then Sylvester comes out of the room, and it actually scares Danny because he thought maybe it was a suspect. And he checks the room to make sure the room's all clear. And then, of course, in the room is Louisa pretty much getting dressed kind of again. And they kind of have a little, like, staring contest, and he's kind of shocked, made a little bit disappointed. And then Louisa starts being an asshole to him, pretty much being like, what's the matter, Pac-Man? What's your issue, huh? And starts following him, and Danny's just trying to leave pretty much the house because he doesn't want to deal with the situation at all. Then Louisa starts following Danny down the stairs, and pretty much just being like, do you think you know who I am? And he doesn't want to talk to her at all, and she just keeps following him, pretty much being like, hey, look at me, Pac-Man. This is me. This is who I am. Look at me. I'm, you know, here partying it up as, you know, the Crips are shooting at us. And then Danny's going to check out this other part of the building that got shot, because maybe it's apartment buildings. I'm not really too sure. But a guy just lost his wife because she's now riddled with bullets. And we can really tell that is, you know, affecting Danny now. We can definitely see the circumstances of what's happening is definitely, you know, getting to him, and he wants to do the right thing, the real right thing. Let me see Frog and his group of guys together, pretty much saying, you know, they saw who did it. The two guys that were outside smoking up the joint. They're like, you know, we saw this Rocket and his crew just driving by. And then Frog's little brother is like, you know, I want in. I want to do this. I want to help. And he pretty much like, you know, get out the porch. And as an initiation, it's three of them trying to beat the shit out of the little brother as he's trying to hold his own, because that's the way of doing it, because you got to hold your own if you want to be a part of the group, which is understandable, I guess. The little brother's getting his ass kicked, and Sylvester kind of nudging Frog like, hey, how about you cut this out now, huh? How about you stop it? And he's like, nah, he can still take a few shots. Which, you know, he gets thrown on top of a car at one point, then he gets ripped off the car, and then he gets, you know, decked in the face a couple times, but he's still, you know, trying to hold his ground at least. He's still trying to stand. Then after that, you know, Frog calls it off, and they hug it out, and it's like, you know what? There's no turning back after this. You know, if you're in, you're in. You know, things are going to get pretty fucked up if you're in. Then it's the next day, and we just have this really long alley shot after we see Frog and his group of homies walking down the alleyway, pretty much just looking for trouble, looking for Rocket, essentially. Then they have their, like, decoy cars come out, and they all hide in the back seat, you know, sunken down in the back seat so no one can see them. It's now nighttime, and then we see Rocket and his group hanging out at that abandoned house. You know, they got like a barrel inside that are using to set a fire to keep warm. And that's when we then see Frog and his crew pulling up on the area because they know exactly where he's living. And then we see them pretty much outside with guns ready to pretty much blow the place apart. We see them pushing up on the front door. They open the front door, and a guy just randomly walks out. He's blasted in the stomach, and then they throw a grenade inside, I think, and then, you know, pretty much a gunfight just happens between the two, and just, you know, a lot of the Crips are just like dying like it's nothing. nothing. They're all just running out the same front door too, and they're just getting blasted because, of course there's going to be a whole crew sitting outside. So why would you even bother to try going out the front door? But, whatever. And then we see the house pretty much starting to blow up inside. Then we have like an Uzi fight between Larry Sylvester and Rocket, and they both pretty much just drop to the ground afterward. Frog's crew just literally drives off, doesn't even check to see if Larry's still alive at all, and just leave him face down. The guys being like, we're done, we're out of here, see ya. Then we just cut to Frog's crew having like this little party out in the woods somewhere, on the hills somewhere in LA. Not sure where exactly, but you got Malachi character Whitey just playing the guitar, and people just smoking it up, just dancing, having a good time. And as they're all just hanging around their bonfire, we hear a helicopter starting to fly overhead, and then the LAPD shows up and the crash team shows up, and they pretty much tell everyone to put their hands up, and they're all under arrest. And Frog's like, what the hell do you guys want? And of course Hodges comes in, he goes right for Frog, and he wants to be the one to arrest him, even though Frog was the one that helped him out kind of, or gave him the heads up at least. But yeah, then one of Frog's members, I'm not sure which one it was, I don't know his name, but he's one of the cocky guys. He's like, I don't want to die like Rambo. He literally turns around, shoots Hodges right in the stomach, and then all the other cops start blasting him, and that guy's definitely dead. And then we see Frog just kind of face down on the ground, kind of smirking about it the whole time, as we see Hodges on the ground, pretty much just looking up at the sky. We see some blood coming out of his chest, so it was more of a chest shot. But Hodges is saying how he can't feel his legs at all, and he wants to call his wife just to be able to talk to her. And then Hodges just keeps repeating how he wants to talk to his wife, or get his wife, and then he just needs to catch his breath. And then we see like a puddle of blood, on his chest, stomach area, and it's not looking too good for him. But of course we got Danny there the whole time trying to comfort him, just trying to tell him to stay calm. And then we have Hodges, grasping for air, and we can slowly tell that he's, slowly starting to die. And then Hodges is like, I'm gonna be ready to go in a minute. I just gotta catch my breath. And then we just, see the life pretty much leaving his life, and Danny's just starting to break down and cry because, probably part of him feels like it's his fault because he's been pushing this narrative so much, and that he's the reason that maybe Hodges is dead now. And then the music starts to change. It starts to get darker, more depressing as the helicopter shot goes farther and farther away from the scene as it's dead of night, and the light starts getting dimmer and dimmer as we go farther away, of course. And now we see it's like the next day, maybe, but it's a sunny day out. We see Danny driving, and he's got another partner with him, and he's, discussing everything that he does to try and keep his ass safe. And of course, now Danny has become the Hodges version of himself, and his new partner is pretty much a younger version of himself. And he's like, it looks like we got a drug bust. And he literally jumps out of the car while the car's still moving and starts to chase everyone, but everyone starts running away. And he's like, shit, man, they all got away. Then Danny tries to tell him how to work the ghetto. And the guy's like, I lived in the ghetto. I know how this works. I don't need no advice from a white cop. And Danny pretty much doesn't want to hear anything to do about it because he's just like, I've been there. I've done it. I know what I'm talking about. And then Danny goes to tell his new partner the story of the two bowls that Bob Hodges told him when he first started as partners as well. So now the whole story goes the same way, but this time Danny's screwing up the story the whole time, and he's trying to remember it, but it's not working out as well as when Hodges said it. And then we just have the two of them getting in the undercover cop car and driving away as the camera pans on just Danny as he's driving, and then the color song starts playing, and then our outro credits come, and that's the end of the movie. I gotta say that I think I've watched this movie when I was younger, but I can't remember. I don't really remember much of it at all, to be honest with you, but it's got a great cast, and it's a great movie. I loved it. And on the Rotten scale out of 10, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I was like a 9.5, but we'll do a 9 out of 10. I like how the story, you got this rookie cop pairing up with this veteran cop, and the veteran cop's just trying to get the rookie cop, slow down, calm down a bit. And then at the end of the movie, the rookie cop becomes that same veteran cop once he's killed in the line of work. But yeah, definitely a good movie. Definitely highly recommend it. It's on Tubi right now, but it's in the Leaving Soon section, so it might not be there too long. Hopefully it's still there by the time this episode comes out, because I'm doing a couple episodes ahead right now, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, definitely highly recommend checking it out. Definitely well worth it, and I'll be revisiting it again and probably doing some artwork on it as well. I'll probably try and get a couple little sketches here and there for it this weekend, most likely. But we'll have to wait and see. Which brings us to our movie we're going to watch next. We're going to stay with the cop gang related movies. We're going to watch in their action crime drama. This one's also rated R, and it's an hour and 51 minutes from 1997. We're going to watch gang related because why not? It's got Jim Belushi and Tupac in it. Yeah, you heard that right. Sorry, he's known as James Belushi. I'm not sure when he changed his name. It is Jim Belushi, right? And not James Belushi. Whatever. It is what it is. Anyways, I'm always up for a good Belushi film, and I'm curious to see how Tupac does. I know there's a couple movies that have Tupac in it, but I don't remember them at all. So yeah, as always, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, make sure to leave a review or rating wherever you are listening to it. If you're on Spotify, leave a star rating, whatever you feel is proper. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave whatever written review that you want, whatever you think is proper for the podcast. Let me know what you want me to improve. If there's any other apps you're listening to on that have a rating system, feel free to rate it. If you're watching this old episode back on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your feedback on it and what you'd like me to watch next or talk about next. Maybe we'll get a Patreon thing going where we can have a Patreon poll of the various movies that people want us to watch, and we'll do maybe a watch along party or something. I don't know. We got lots of concepts and lots of ideas, and we'll just have to see what it takes. And as always, the outro band, make sure to check them out. All the links will be down below. But it's a Toronto-based horror band, The Blood Opera. You can find them on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Facebook, pretty much anything and everything. Definitely go check them out. Really cool group of guys, and I enjoy their music, so maybe you guys will too. And as always, you can find me at Type Inside on all social medias, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think that's them. I don't know, maybe there's probably other ones, but yeah, YouTube being the main thing that we're pushing. Like I said, you can see the weekly gaming videos there every Wednesday. We have shorts coming out all the time. Sometimes they're gaming shorts, sometimes they're art videos and whatnot, and then we got the back catalog of podcast episodes going up there as well. And yeah, definitely go check it out because I'm going to do some drawing videos, drawing streams, all that kind of fun stuff, and I would love to see you guys all over there. I think we're getting close to 600 subs on that, so that's pretty cool. I definitely
appreciate that, and I'll hopefully talk to you guys all later. Peace.
Whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood?